with Andrew?
Yes. Yeah, Andrew. Oh, he was such a pleasure to meet and get to know and to work with him on some things. And um, just a super, super nice guy. And I loved his vision and direction of kind of what he was going for. And, really looking forward to working with him more in the future. And what an absolute gentleman. And now I can call friend.
You say that your food is classic Neapolitan cuisine, but what I imagine is it's classic Italian American Neapolitan cuisine. Or do you really strive to be Italian?
I think it's a blend of kind of both. Um, I definitely think if you look at our a la carte menu, there is an influence of classic Neapolitan and then there's classic Italian American. And what I kind of strive to do, and what my family strives to do as well, is blend the two of them, especially when it comes to the holidays and the traditions. So when it becomes, let's say, for St. Joseph's Day, we'll be making Zeppoli San Giuseppe, we'll be making Sfinge, we'll be making pasta con sarde, and making sure that we carry on those dishes, that those traditions, that legacy, and that goes throughout the year. For us, holidays are always a big celebration, and there's always food and recipes tied to it, and a lot of those come from our classic Neapolitan roots.
You mentioned pasta with sarde, which is pasta with sardines.
That's a little more Sicilian, but you still gotta incorporate that into the holiday.
Well, but they're pretty common kind of everywhere in Italy. And there's a recipe from Venice in the Veneto region called sarde in saur, which is like a sweet and sour dish
Almost
where
like an
you
agrodolce style, yeah.
yeah, oh, it definitely is. So you fry those sardines, which are just abundant there, and then you make your sweet and sour sauce with a little uva passa raisins, some pine nuts, and then you marinate the fish in it for at least a day. It's one of the best things imaginable. What's your sardine sarde recipe like?
Ours is definitely the pine nuts and the raisins, a little white wine, a little saffron, some tomato paste, and then
Tomato paste.
the
Interesting.
sardines. Just a little bit, just a hint. I know some people go more for crushed tomatoes and the sauce. It's one of those recipes that's a little regional, but the primary kind of where it comes from would be Sicily, and so that's kind of our take. A little pasta water and the baby fennel inside you cook the pasta in the fennel frawn and add the bucatini there, and then the toasted breadcrumbs on top. So that's kind of our take on the recipe.
Yeah, so you have your own take, and I think, and I don't know if you know, probably Michelle Di Pietro from Manja with Michelle.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We've done a lot of podcast episodes together. And one of the episodes we did the most recently is about Italian American cuisine. And so a lot of times Italians will say, oh, what they make in the States, it's not Italian. But as Michelle and I were saying, it's become its own cuisine because Italians have been in America for a long time now. And its own cuisine has evolved because maybe you're an Italian, you used to make a recipe with certain ingredients and herbs or whatever. You might not necessarily find them if you move to Pittsburgh or something where there's
Yeah.
big Italian enclaves. So you adapt it to come close to your own recipe. And I think that's probably what you have a lot of as well, in addition to your uh, fairly straight out Neapolitan recipes.
Yeah, I think you could definitely say that. And I think, some people have to realize too that when the generations of past came to this country, And when they settled wherever it was, whether it be New York or New Jersey, or as you referenced, Pittsburgh, it's not like today where, you know, all of a sudden I could get Nduja or some of these products that a lot of people haven't known. Back in the day, what you could get was what you could get, and you had to make it work. And especially when things were tight, there there wasn't a big budget to buy ingredients, or the cost of living was different. So you had to adapt with what you had and the resources and the products and the food available to you. And I think that's where, these dishes kind of evolved. And that's what you can kind of call the Italian American cooking, where, okay, we have this, we'll put it together and we'll make this. It was obviously the roots and the base of what they were cooking from was from Italy. But again, what can you get? What do you have on hand? And make sure nothing goes to waste. I mean, that's a huge principle. And that's, I think, kind of the roots of how Italian American cooking has evolved over the years, and I love that aspect of it. I love the regional aspect of Italian cooking, especially as you go south to north or north to south in Italy, and again, it's all based upon what's available to you. So in Naples, a little more seafood, nice tomatoes, extra virgin olive oil. Where if you go more north, it's a little more cream based, a little more meat based, depending upon the climate and again the resources, the produce, the animals available. So I love that about Italian cooking, and I love kind of educating people on that because I think it's so fascinating and such an interesting concept. And that part of the cuisine, I think, differs from a lot of others. So I really, really enjoy that part of it.
So, where exactly is your family from in Italy?
From Sorrento.
So, do you make gnocchi sorrentine?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. One of my favorites, and definitely a customer favorite. And that's one of those I incorporate in the specials every now and then because we make the gnocchi in house, which is really nice. So, yeah, that definitely pops up on the menu once in a while.
I'm just finishing up a cookbook, and that's one of my recipes, and a recipe that I really absolutely love. Now, your family's from Sorrento. It was the Russo brothers that founded it, but your last name's different.
Yeah, it's on my mom's side of the family.
And was the style of the food and everything the same when it was purchased from the previous Italian family?
I believe, and that's one of those questions that my uncles would probably be able to speak to, but I'm sure it was some similar style of cooking. And Gargiulo and Russo are both common names in that part of Italy. So I'm sure there were some stylistic similarities, but I'm assuming that we changed up a couple things here and there and kind of made it our own.
Have you ever thought of, well, first of all, ask about some of your recipes. Do you have recipes that you've gotten from maybe handwritten from the nonna and
Sure, yeah. So our cousin Mike the Bake, he was the pastry chef in the restaurant for over 40 years. And he did not give a recipe to anyone. And when I was just starting and right after I graduated college, he would come in. He was semi retired at this point, but he would come in on a Monday and he would make the cannoli and the cheesecake. He'd make the shells. We stuff every cannoli to order, so he would make the shells and the cream, and then we'd stuff them as we need. But he would come in, and I would look at him and say, he's semi-retired at this point. Somebody has to learn this, and we have to keep these traditions going and his legacy going. And it was one of those things. Again, he didn't give anything to anyone. Mike, how do you make that?